Discovery and despair. The starship Horizon glided silently through the inky void of space, its sleek hull gleaming under the light of distant stars. Captain Sarah Chen stood on the bridge, her dark eyes fixed on the viewscreen as a rust-colored planet grew larger before them. Novus Primus, their latest destination in humanity's grand mission of galactic exploration and diplomacy. Entering orbit, Captain, announced Navigator Tom Reeves, his fingers dancing across the holographic controls. All systems nominal. Sarah nodded, a mix of excitement and apprehension churning in her stomach. Excellent. Prepare the landing party. Let's see what secrets this world has in store for us. As the Horizon settled into a stable orbit, Sarah led her team to the shuttle bay. Dr. Amelia Okafor, the ship's xenobiologist, double-checked her equipment with meticulous care. Engineer Raj Patel ran final diagnostics on their protective suits, while Security Chief Marcus Wu ensured their weapons were charged but secured, a precaution they hoped wouldn't be necessary. The shuttle descended through Novus Primus' turbulent atmosphere, buffeted by fierce winds that howled against the hull. As they broke through the cloud cover, a landscape of twisted rock formations and deep canyons stretched out before them. Sulphurous geysers erupted in the distance, painting the sky with plumes of yellow vapor. Charming place, Raj muttered, his dark humor a welcome break in the tense atmosphere. They set down on a relatively flat expanse of rusty soil, the shuttle's landing struts sinking slightly into the loose ground. Sarah took a deep breath, centering herself before activating the airlock. Remember, we're here to observe and make peaceful contact if possible. Stay alert, but let's not jump at shadows. The team stepped out onto the alien world, their boots leaving clear imprints in the rust-colored dust. The wind whipped around them, carrying particles that pinged off their helmet visors. Amelia immediately set to work, her sensors sweeping the area for signs of life. Fascinating, she murmured, her Nigerian accent tinged with excitement. The atmosphere is surprisingly Earth-like, though with higher concentrations of sulfur compounds. And there are definite biosignatures, but nothing I've ever seen before. They trekked across the barren landscape, documenting everything they encountered. Strange, lichen-like growths clung to the rocks, shimmering with an iridescent sheen. Insectoid creatures skittered away from their approach, their segmented bodies adorned with crystalline structures. As they rounded a towering rock spire, Marcus suddenly held up a hand, signaling for silence. "Do you hear that?" he whispered, his enhanced audio sensors twitching. The team froze, straining to listen. At first, there was nothing but the whistle of the wind. Then, carried on the breeze, came a sound that sent chills down their spines, a low, mournful wail that seemed to resonate with pure anguish. "What in the world?" Sarah breathed, her heart racing. Amelia's instruments went wild. "It's coming from over that ridge," she said, pointing to a jagged line of rocks about half a kilometer away. "And whatever's making that sound, it's big." Cautiously, the team made their way toward the source of the cry. As they crested the ridge, they found themselves looking down into a deep crater. What they saw there would haunt them for years to come. In the center of the crater lay a massive creature, easily the size of a blue whale. Its body was covered in iridescent scales that shifted color with every labored breath. 6 powerful limbs ended in wickedly curved claws, while a long, serpentine neck supported a head adorned with sweeping horns. But it was the creature's eyes that captivated them, enormous orbs that shimmered like galaxies, filled with unmistakable intelligence and unfathomable pain. The alien beast was bound by cruel devices that pulsed with energy, holding it immobile against the ground. Its scales were marred by ugly wounds and scars, telling a story of prolonged abuse and torment. As they watched, another mournful cry escaped its jaws, echoing across the desolate landscape. "My God," Amelia whispered, her voice choked with emotion. "What have they done to you?" Before anyone could respond, the air was split by a high-pitched whine. A sleek, dart-like ship descended into the crater, kicking up clouds of dust. As it touched down, A hatch opened, and 3 figures emerged. The new arrivals were tall and spindly, with gray skin that seemed to ripple and shift like smoke. Their heads were elongated, with no visible eyes but a cluster of sensory tendrils where a nose might be on a human. They moved with an unsettling grace, gliding across the ground as if gravity barely affected them. One of the aliens approached the bound creature, producing a device that crackled with energy. Without hesitation, it pressed the device against the beast's flank. The air filled with an agonized roar as the creature thrashed in its bonds, its scales flashing a violent red. "We have to stop this," Sarah hissed, her hand instinctively moving to her weapon. Marcus gripped her arm. "Captain, we're outnumbered and outgunned. We don't know what kind of weapons or defenses they have. So we just stand here and watch." Raj asked, his voice tight with anger. Sarah's mind raced, weighing their options. As much as every fiber of her being screamed to intervene, she knew Marcus was right. They needed more information, more resources. "We retreat," she said at last, the words tasting bitter in her mouth. "But we're coming back. I swear it." As they made their way back to the shuttle, the creature's cries of pain echoed in their ears. Each step away felt like a betrayal, but Sarah steeled herself. They would return, and they would make this right. Humanity had encountered cruelty in the cosmos before, but this was a level of barbarism they could not ignore. Once safely back aboard the Horizon, Sarah called an emergency meeting of her senior staff. The mood in the briefing room was somber as they reviewed the sensor data and footage from their expedition. "What we witnessed today goes beyond mere animal cruelty," Sarah began, her voice tight with controlled fury. "That creature is sentient, possibly even sapient. Its abuse is a crime against the very principles of galactic civilization." Dr. Okafor nodded, her eyes rimmed with red. "The biological readings are like nothing I've ever seen. Its neural patterns suggest an intelligence that might rival or even surpass our own. And the wounds," she swallowed hard. "Some of them are clearly the result of systematic experimentation." "Do we have any idea who those gray aliens are?" Raj asked, his usual joviality replaced by grim determination. Navigator Reeves consulted his datapad. "I've cross-referenced their appearance and technology with our xenobiological database. They match descriptions of a species known as the Zarkin. Isolationists, technically advanced, but with very little direct contact with other races. Well, they're about to have some direct contact with us," Marcus growled, cracking his knuckles. Sarah held up a hand. "I understand the sentiment, but we need to approach this carefully. We're dealing with an unknown species on their territory, with technology we don't fully understand. A direct confrontation could end in disaster, for us and for the creature we're trying to save." "So what do you propose, Captain?" Amelia asked, leaning forward intently. Sarah's eyes blazed with determination. "We gather intelligence. We plan. And then we launch a rescue mission unlike anything attempted in the history of human space exploration. That creature has suffered long enough. It's time humanity showed the galaxy what we're truly capable of when we stand against injustice." As the meeting adjourned, a palpable sense of purpose filled the air. The crew of the Horizon had embarked on this mission seeking new frontiers and peaceful contact with alien life. Instead, they had stumbled upon a great evil, and in doing so, discovered a chance to prove the true strength of the human spirit. In her quarters that night, Sarah stared out at the stars. The image of the bound creature's pain-filled eyes burned into her memory. "Hold on," she whispered to the void. "We're coming for you. And may whatever gods exist have mercy on those who hurt you, because we won't." Planning the rescue. The next 48 hours aboard the Horizon were a flurry of activity. Captain Sarah Chen had given her crew a near impossible task: devise a plan to rescue an enormous, unknown alien creature from the clutches of a technologically advanced and potentially hostile species. The challenge energized the human team, sparking their creativity and determination. In the ship's main laboratory, Dr. Amelia Okafor hunched over a holographic display, analyzing the data they'd gathered on the captive creature. Its biology is utterly fascinating, she murmured, her fingers dancing through the three-dimensional model. The creature's scales seemed to function as a complex sensory organ, possibly even capable of energy manipulation. Engineer Raj Patel looked up from his workstation, where he was tinkering with a prototype device. Could that be why the Zarkin are experimenting on it? Some kind of energy harvesting. Amelia's face darkened. It's possible. But whatever their reasons, the methods they're using are cruel and barbaric. Meanwhile, in the tactical room, Security Chief Marcus Wu and Navigator Tom Reeves pored over orbital scans of the planet's surface. The crater where they're holding the creature is like a natural fortress, Marcus grumbled, frustration evident in his voice. Sheer cliffs on all sides, with only one narrow access point that's heavily guarded. Tom nodded, his brow furrowed in concentration. And we can't risk a frontal assault. Even if we could overpower the Zarkin guards, we might harm the creature in the process. As the team grappled with these challenges, Captain Chen called them together for a brainstorming session. The air in the briefing room crackled with tension and excitement as ideas were proposed and debated. What if we used our shuttle's tractor beam to lift the creature out? Raj suggested, his eyes bright with enthusiasm. Marcus shook his head. Too slow and too visible. The Zarkin would shoot us down before we got halfway. We could try diplomacy, Tom offered, though his tone suggested he didn't have much faith in the idea. Appeal to their sense of ethics. Sarah sighed. From what we've seen, I'm not sure they have one. At least not one that aligns with ours. As the discussion continued, Amelia suddenly sat up straighter, a spark of inspiration in her eyes. Wait a moment. What if we're approaching this from the wrong angle? We've been thinking about how to overpower the Zarkin or sneak past them. But what if we could make them want to move the creature themselves? The room fell silent as all eyes turned to the xenobiologist. Sarah leaned forward, intrigued. Go on, Doctor. Amelia's words tumbled out in a rush of excitement. The Zarkin are clearly interested in the creature for its unique biology. What if we could convince them that keeping it in that crater was dangerous? Create some kind of environmental threat that would force them to relocate their prisoner. Raj's eyes widened as he caught on. And then we intercept them during the transfer. Brilliant. The team's enthusiasm was infectious, but Sarah held up a hand, ever the voice of caution. It's a promising idea, but how do we create a threat convincing enough to force their hand without putting the creature in real danger? Marcus snapped his fingers. Seismic activity. This planet is already geologically unstable. If we could trigger some localized tremors. I might be able to help with that, Raj interjected, a mischievous glint in his eye. I've been working on some experimental gravitic pulse emitters. With a bit of modification, we could use them to simulate earthquake-like vibrations in a specific area. As the plan began to take shape, Sarah felt a surge of pride in her crew. This was humanity at its best, innovative, compassionate, and unwilling to stand by in the face of injustice. But a nagging doubt still tugged at her conscience. There's one more thing we need to consider, she said, her voice cutting through the excited chatter. The ethical implications. We're talking about interfering with another species, potentially triggering a diplomatic incident. Are we certain this is the right course of action? A heavy silence fell over the room. It was Amelia who finally broke it, her voice soft but firm. Captain, when we set out on this mission, we did so in the spirit of exploration and peaceful contact. But we also carry with us the values and principles of humanity. If we turn our backs on a sentient being in pain, knowing we had the power to help, what does that say about us? About the face of humanity we're presenting to the galaxy? Marcus nodded in agreement. We swore an oath to uphold the ideals of the United Earth government. Those ideals include standing up against cruelty and oppression, wherever we find it. Sarah looked around the room, seeing the determination reflected in each face. She took a deep breath, squaring her shoulders. You're right, all of you. We have the ability to help, so we have the responsibility to act. Let's make this happen. With renewed purpose, the team threw themselves into preparations. Raj and his engineering crew worked tirelessly to modify the gravitic pulse emitters, disguising them as innocuous survey probes. Amelia and her science team synthesized a chemical compound that would react dramatically with the planet's atmosphere, creating a visual spectacle to accompany the Fox seismic activity. Marcus drilled the security team on rapid response tactics, preparing for every possible scenario once they intercepted the Zarkin transport. Tom plotted multiple escape routes, accounting for the extra mass and life support needs of their soon-to-be rescued passenger. As the plan came together, Sarah found herself in her ready room, composing a message to United Earth Command. She knew that her actions, while morally justified, might have far-reaching consequences. Her fingers hovered over the console as she chose her words carefully. To United Earth Command, by the time you receive this message, the crew of the Horizon will have undertaken a rescue mission on the planet designated Novus Primus. We have encountered a sentient creature being subjected to cruel experimentation by an advanced alien species known as the Zarkin. Our actions may result in a diplomatic incident. I take full responsibility for this decision and am prepared to face any consequences upon our return. However, I believe with every fiber of my being that this is the right course of action, not just for the creature we aim to save, but for humanity's standing in the galactic community. We have an opportunity to show that humans will not stand idly by in the face of injustice and cruelty. That we are willing to risk ourselves to protect the vulnerable, even when they are not our own kind. I hope that history will judge us kindly. Captain Sarah Chen, UES Horizon. Sarah sent the message, knowing it would take weeks to reach Earth. Whatever happened next, there would be no turning back. As the final preparations were made, Sarah called her senior staff together one last time. The mood was tense but determined as she looked at each of them in turn. What we're about to do goes beyond our original mission parameters. It's dangerous, and the consequences could be severe. If anyone wants to opt out, now is the time. No judgment, no repercussions. The room remained silent, each crew member standing firm. Sarah felt a swell of emotion, but kept her voice steady. Very well. You're the finest crew I could have asked for. Now let's go make history and save a life. As the Horizon moved into position, hidden from the Zarkin sensors by Novus Primus magnetic field, Sarah gave the order to launch the modified probes. On the view screen, they watched as the small devices descended towards the planet's surface. In a matter of hours, they would either pull off an unprecedented rescue or face the wrath of an alien species. But in that moment, united in purpose, the crew of the Horizon felt the full weight of what it meant to be human, with all the responsibility, compassion, and potential for greatness that entailed. The rescue mission was about to begin. The rescue mission. The rust-colored surface of Novus Primus loomed large on the Horizon's view screen as Captain Sarah Chen gave the order to initiate their daring plan. Activate the gravitic pulse emitters, she commanded, her voice steady despite the tension thrumming through her body. Down in engineering, Raj Patel's fingers flew across his console. Emitters online, Captain. Commencing simulated seismic activity in 3, 2, 1. On the planet's surface, the ground began to tremble. The vibration started subtly at first, but quickly intensified. In the crater where the alien creature was held captive, loose rocks clattered down the steep walls, raising alarmed cries from the Zarkin guards. Deploying atmospheric reactants, Dr. Amelia Okafor reported from her station in the science lab. A series of small canisters ejected from the Horizon, burning up on entry and dispersing their contents into Novus Primus' sulfurous atmosphere. The effect was immediate and dramatic. The sky above the crater turned an ominous green, roiling with artificial storm clouds. Flashes of otherworldly lightning arced between the clouds, accompanied by low, rumbling thunder. Through the Horizon's long-range sensors, The crew watched as the Zarkin facility erupted into frantic activity. "They're taking the bait," Security Chief Marcus Wu observed, a grim smile on his face. "Looks like they're preparing to move the creature." Sarah nodded, her heart racing. "This is it, people. Stations everyone. Prepare for intercept." The next hour was a masterclass in precision and teamwork. As the Zarkin hurriedly loaded the captive creature onto a massive transport vehicle, the Horizon's crew worked in perfect synchronization to keep their ruse going without detection. Finally, the moment they'd been waiting for arrived. The Zarkin transport rose ponderously into the air, its anti-gravity engines straining under the weight of its precious cargo. "Now, Mr. Reeves," Sarah ordered. Navigator Tom Reeves engaged the Horizon's engines, bringing the ship out of its hiding place in a sweeping arc that put them directly in the path of the ascending Zarkin vessel. "Attention Zarkin craft," Sarah broadcast on all frequencies. "This is Captain Sarah Chen of the United Earth ship Horizon. Power down your engines and prepare to be boarded." For a moment, there was only stunned silence from the alien vessel. Then a harsh, vibrating voice responded, "Human ship, you have no authority here. Leave immediately or face destruction." Sarah's eyes narrowed. "We know what you've done to the creature you're transporting. Its abuse ends today. This is your final warning." The Zarkin ship's response came in the form of energy weapons powering up. "Evasive maneuvers," Sarah shouted as the first volley of alien fire streaked past them. The Horizon danced through space, Reeves' piloting skills on full display as he wove between the energy blasts. Meanwhile, Marcus coordinated the ship's defenses, a mix of force fields and point defense lasers keeping the Zarkin attacks at bay. "We can't keep this up forever, Captain," Marcus warned. "And we risk injuring the creature if we return fire." Sarah's mind raced, searching for a solution. Then inspiration struck. "Raj, can you reconfigure the gravitic pulse emitters to affect their ship?" The engineer's eyes lit up with understanding. "Brilliant. Give me 2 minutes." Those 2 minutes felt like an eternity as the Horizon continued its deadly dance with the Zarkin vessel. But true to his word, Raj's voice soon crackled over the comm. "Ready, Captain." "Do it," Sarah commanded. A wave of invisible energy pulsed out from the Horizon. The effect on the Zarkin ship was immediate. It lurched in space, its anti-gravity engines sputtering and failing. "Their systems are offline," Marcus reported. "They're dead in space." Sarah allowed herself a small smile of triumph. "Excellent work, everyone. Prepare boarding parties. Let's go get our new friend." As the Horizon moved alongside the disabled Zarkin ship, Sarah led one of the boarding teams herself. Clad in advanced exosuits, they used portable airlocks to create a sealed passage between the two vessels. The interior of the Zarkin ship was alien and unsettling, all twisting corridors and pulsing, organic-looking technology. The boarding parties moved swiftly, stunning the disoriented Zarkin crew with non-lethal energy weapons. In the cavernous hold, they found their quarry. The alien creature lay immobilized, its iridescent scales dulled with pain and stress. As Sarah approached, those galaxy-like eyes fixed on her, filled with a mix of fear and desperate hope. "It's okay," Sarah said softly, knowing the creature couldn't understand her words, but hoping her tone would convey her intentions. "We're here to help. You're safe now." Dr. Okafor rushed forward, her medical scanners already assessing the creature's condition. "We need to get these restraints off immediately," she reported. "They're causing severe nerve damage." With Raj's technical expertise and Amelia's biological insights, they carefully disabled the cruel devices binding the creature. As the last restraint fell away, the alien let out a low, warbling cry that seemed to vibrate through Sarah's very bones. That sounded almost like relief, Marcus murmured, awe evident in his voice. Transporting the massive creature back to the Horizon was a Herculean task, requiring all of Raj's engineering ingenuity and the combined strength of both boarding parties. But finally, after what felt like hours of careful maneuvering, They managed to secure their new passenger in the Horizon's largest cargo bay, which had been hastily converted into a makeshift xenobiology lab and recovery room. As Amelia and her team began treating the creature's wounds, Sarah returned to the bridge. The Zarkin ship remained disabled, its crew contained in their own holding cells. "Plot a course out of the system, maximum speed," Sarah ordered Tom. "Let's put some distance between us and this place." As the Horizon streaked away from Novus Primus, Sarah felt a complex mix of emotions. They had succeeded in their rescue mission against incredible odds. But she knew that their actions would have far-reaching consequences. They had directly interfered with another species, stolen what the Zarkin considered their property, and engaged in hostile actions in foreign territory. Yet, as she thought of the grateful look in the alien creature's eyes, Sarah knew she would make the same choice again in a heartbeat. They had struck a blow against cruelty and injustice, showcasing the very best of humanity's compassion and determination. Whatever challenges lay ahead, they would face them together, the crew of the Horizon and their newfound alien friend. As the stars streaked by on the view screen, Sarah allowed herself a moment of quiet pride. Today, humanity had proven itself a force for good in the galaxy. The real work of healing and understanding was just beginning. Healing and understanding. The days following the daring rescue were a whirlwind of activity aboard the Horizon. The massive alien creature, now safely ensconced in the converted cargo bay, became the center of attention for the entire crew. Dr. Amelia Okafor led a round-the-clock effort to treat its injuries and unravel the mysteries of its unique biology. Captain Sarah Chen stood at the observation window, watching as Amelia and her team worked tirelessly. The creature's iridescent scales shimmered under the soft light, its 6 limbs curled protectively around its body. Despite its enormous size, there was something undeniably vulnerable about it. "How's our patient doing, Doctor?" Sarah asked as Amelia approached, looking exhausted but exhilarated. The xenobiologist's eyes sparkled with excitement. "It's absolutely remarkable, Captain. Its regenerative abilities are like nothing I've ever seen. The wounds inflicted by the Zarkin are healing at an astonishing rate." Sarah nodded, relief evident in her voice. "That's good to hear. Any progress on communication?" Amelia's expression turned thoughtful. "Yes and no. We've confirmed that it's not just sentient, but highly intelligent. It seems to communicate primarily through a combination of bioluminescent patterns in its scales and low-frequency vibrations, almost like whale song, but much more complex." "Have you been able to decipher any of it?" Sarah asked. "Not exactly, but we're making progress. Raj has been working on a device to help translate the vibrations into something our universal translators can process. And there's something else." Amelia hesitated, as if unsure how to express her next thought. Sarah raised an eyebrow. "Go on." "Well, it's just a theory at this point, but I think the creature might be telepathic to some degree. Several of the team members have reported experiencing vivid emotions or fragmented images when in close proximity, especially during moments of heightened activity from our guest." Before Sarah could respond, the intercom crackled to life. "Captain, to the bridge," came Marcus Wu's urgent voice. "We've got company." Sarah's heart raced as she hurried to the bridge, Amelia close behind. As the doors slid open, she was greeted by a tense scene. On the main view screen, a sleek, predatory-looking ship had just dropped out of faster-than-light travel. "Zarkin?" Sarah asked, though she already suspected the answer. Marcus shook his head. "No, ma'am. Different configuration entirely. They're hailing us." Sarah straightened her uniform. On screen, the view screen flickered, revealing a being unlike any they had encountered before. It appeared to be composed of swirling energy, vaguely humanoid in shape, but constantly shifting and reforming. When it spoke, its voice seemed to come from everywhere at once. "Greetings, humans of the Horizon. I am Xenexa of the Galactic Conclave. We've been monitoring your recent activities with great interest." Sarah felt a chill run down her spine. The Galactic Conclave was a mysterious organization, rumored to be a coalition of the most advanced species in the known universe. Until now, humanity had only heard whispers of their existence. Keeping her voice steady, Sarah responded, "Greetings, Xinexa. I am Captain Sarah Chen. We're on a mission of peaceful exploration, but recent events forced us to take unexpected action." The energy being's form pulsed, giving an impression of nodding. "Yes, your rescue of the Axiom. A noble act, but one that has sent ripples through the delicate fabric of interspecies relations." "The Axiom," Amelia whispered, her scientific curiosity piqued even in this tense moment. Xinexa continued, "The being you rescued is one of the last of an ancient race, keepers of knowledge that spans millennia. The Zarkin's actions were unsanctioned, but your intervention has created a complex diplomatic situation." Sarah felt a surge of defiance. "With all due respect, we couldn't stand by and watch a sentient being suffer. If that's a crime in the eyes of the Galactic Conclave, then perhaps your moral compass needs recalibration." There was a long pause, and Sarah feared she might have overstepped. But then, to everyone's surprise, the energy being's form rippled in what could only be described as laughter. "Well said, Captain Chen. Your species continues to surprise us. It is precisely this combination of compassion and boldness that has brought us here today." The atmosphere on the bridge shifted from tense to confused. Sarah exchanged glances with her crew before asking, "I don't understand. Are you here to punish us, or—" "Neither punishment nor reward, Captain," Xinexa replied. "We are here to extend an invitation. The actions of your crew have demonstrated that humanity may be ready for a larger role in galactic affairs. We wish to open formal diplomatic channels between Earth and the Galactic Conclave." The bridge erupted in excited murmurs. Sarah felt a dizzying mix of emotions: pride, anxiety, hope. "We would be honored," she managed to say. Xinex's form pulsed again. "Excellent. But first, there is the matter of the Axiom. With your permission, I would like to come aboard and assess its condition. Perhaps together, we can find a way to communicate more effectively with it." After a quick conference with her senior staff, Sarah agreed. Within moments, a shimmering portal opened on the bridge, and the energy being Xinexa stepped through. As they made their way to the converted cargo bay, Sarah couldn't help but feel that they were on the cusp of something momentous. Humanity had taken its first real steps onto the galactic stage, and the consequences of their compassionate act were about to unfold in ways they could never have imagined. When they entered the cargo bay, the Axiom's reaction was immediate and startling. Its scales lit up in a dazzling display of colors, and a low melodious hum filled the air. Xinex's energy form seemed to resonate in response. "Remarkable," Amelia breathed, her instruments going wild. "They're communicating." For several minutes, the humans watched in awe as Xinexa and the Axiom engaged in their silent exchange. Finally, the energy being turned to address them. "The Axiom is grateful for your intervention," Xinexa translated. "It has shared with me the full extent of what it endured, as well as something else, something that concerns all of us." Sarah felt a knot of apprehension form in her stomach. "What do you mean?" Xinex's form darkened slightly. The Zarkin's experiments were more than mere cruelty. They were attempting to extract and weaponize the Axiom's ability to manipulate cosmic energy. Had they succeeded, the balance of power in the galaxy would have been irrevocably altered. The implications hit Sarah like a physical blow. Their rescue mission had potentially averted a galactic catastrophe. "So what happens now?" she asked, her mind reeling. Xinex's form brightened again. "Now, Captain Chen, we embark on a new chapter of cooperation. The Axiom has expressed a desire to remain with your crew for the time being. It senses a kindred spirit in humanity, a young race with much to learn, but with the potential for great wisdom and compassion." As the full weight of this pronouncement settled over them, Sarah looked around at her crew. At Amelia's excitement, Marcus's quiet pride, Raj's barely contained glee. They had set out to explore the unknown, and in doing so, they had changed the course of galactic history. "We would be honored to continue learning from the axiom," Sarah said, a smile spreading across her face. "And we look forward to working with the Galactic Conclave to forge a better future for all sentient beings." As Zinaxa began outlining the next steps in this unprecedented diplomatic venture, Sarah felt a wave of emotion wash over her. It wasn't just her own feelings. Somehow, she knew it was coming from the axiom. Gratitude, hope, and a profound sense of new beginnings. The rescue mission had been just the start. Now, the real adventure was about to begin. Justice and new beginnings. In the weeks that followed, the horizon became a hub of unprecedented interspecies cooperation. The massive cargo bay, once a makeshift recovery room, had been transformed into a combination laboratory, diplomatic chamber, and living quarters for their unusual guest. The axiom, as they now knew to call it, was recovering rapidly under Dr. Amelia Okafor's care and the watchful eye of Zinaxa. Captain Sarah Chen stood at the observation window, watching as Amelia and Raj worked with a team of scientists from the Galactic Conclave. The sight still filled her with a sense of wonder. Humans working alongside beings of pure energy, insectoid creatures with multiple limbs, and even a gaseous entity that communicated through pheromones. "Quite a sight, isn't it?" came a familiar voice. Sarah turned to see Marcus Wu approaching, a datapad in hand. She nodded, a small smile playing on her lips. "If you had told me a month ago that we'd be hosting a galactic summit on our science vessel, I'd have thought you were reading too much science fiction." Marcus chuckled, but his expression quickly turned serious. "Speaking of galactic matters, we've received a transmission from Earth. The UN Security Council has reviewed our report, and, well, you should probably read it yourself." Sarah took the datapad, her heart racing as she scanned the contents. As she read, her eyes widened, and she had to resist the urge to pinch herself. "Is this for real?" she asked, looking up at Marcus in disbelief. The security chief nodded, a rare grin spreading across his face. 100%, Captain. Humanity has been officially invited to join the Galactic Conclave as a probationary member, and you've been named Earth's first ambassador." The news was staggering. In one fell swoop, humanity had gone from a relatively isolated species to a recognized player on the galactic stage. And she, Sarah Chen, was to be the face of that transition. Before she could fully process this information, the intercom crackled to life. "Captain," came Tom Reeves' voice from the bridge, "we're picking up a distress signal. It's from a Zarkin ship." Sarah and Marcus exchanged a look of surprise before rushing to the bridge. On the main view screen, a battered Zarkin vessel limped through space, trailing debris. "Life signs?" Sarah asked, her mind already racing through potential scenarios. "Faint, but present," Tom replied. "Their propulsion and life support systems are failing. At their current rate of deterioration, they've got maybe an hour left." Sarah felt the weight of every eye on the bridge as her crew awaited her decision. The Zarkin had been cruel, had tortured the axiom for their own gain. Part of her wanted to let them face the consequences of their actions, but another part, the part that had driven her to become an explorer in the first place, knew there was only one right choice. "Plot an intercept course," she ordered. "Prepare medical teams and security details. We're going to render assistance." As the horizon maneuvered alongside the stricken Zarkin ship, Sarah felt a familiar presence in her mind. The axiom. Its thoughts a mix of concern and curiosity. "I know," she said softly, though she knew the creature couldn't hear her. "But this is who we are. This is what makes us human." The rescue operation was tense but successful. The Zarkin, weakened and humbled, offered no resistance as they were brought aboard the horizon. As Amelia and her medical team tended to the injured aliens, Sarah noticed something odd about their behavior. They seemed different from the cruel experimenters they had encountered on Novus Primus. It was Zinexa who provided the explanation. The energy being's form rippled with what Sarah had come to recognize as excitement. "Captain, I believe we may have stumbled upon something significant. These Zarkin, they're not the same ones who tortured the Axiom. They're rebels, fleeing from their own government." The Zarkin leader, a gaunt figure with haunted eyes, confirmed Zinex's assessment. "We couldn't stand by any longer," he said, his translator struggling to convey the emotion in his vibrating voice. "The experiments, the cruelty. It goes against everything our ancestors believed. We tried to stop it from within, but we were discovered. We barely escaped with our lives." Sarah felt a surge of compassion for these unexpected allies. "You're safe now," she assured them, "and your testimony could be crucial in bringing the true perpetrators to justice." Over the next few days, as the Horizon made its way to the nearest Galactic Conclave outpost, Sarah worked tirelessly with Zinexa and the Zarkin rebels to compile evidence against the faction responsible for the Axiom's torture. The Axiom itself contributed, sharing its memories in a series of vivid, emotionally charged telepathic sessions that left everyone involved shaken, but more determined than ever to see justice done. When they finally arrived at the outpost, a sprawling space station that dwarfed anything humanity had ever constructed, Sarah found herself standing before the Galactic Conclave's High Council. Representatives from dozens of species listened intently as she presented their case. The actions taken against the Axiom were not just a crime against one being, Sarah concluded, her voice ringing out clear and strong. They were a crime against all sentient life, a violation of the principles that bind us together as a galactic community. We ask that the perpetrators be brought to justice, and that safeguards be put in place to prevent such atrocities from happening again. The council chambers erupted in a cacophony of voices, clicks, and telepathic pulses as the various representatives debated. Finally, a consensus was reached. The Zarkin government would be sanctioned, the perpetrators arrested and tried under galactic law. More importantly, a new initiative would be launched to protect vulnerable species and share knowledge across the galaxy. As the council session adjourned, Sarah felt a wave of relief and accomplishment wash over her. They had done it. They had not only rescued the Axiom, but had set in motion changes that would ripple across the galaxy. Back on the horizon, as they prepared for their journey home, Sarah paid one last visit to the Axiom. The massive creature's scales shimmered with a soft, contented light as she approached. "I suppose this is goodbye, for now," Sarah said, placing a hand gently on the Axiom's side. To her surprise, she felt a response, not in words, but in emotions and impressions. Gratitude, affection, and a sense of excited anticipation for the future. Amelia, who had been monitoring nearby, rushed over with wide eyes. "Captain, the Axiom. It's communicating more clearly than ever before. I think it wants to come with us." Sarah blinked in surprise. "Come with us? Back to Earth?" Zinexa, who had been observing quietly, floated forward. "It seems the Axiom has grown quite fond of your crew, Captain Chen, and it believes it has much to teach humanity, and much to learn from you in return. The Galactic Conclave would be honored if Earth would act as a guardian and partner to the Axiom." As the implications of this request sank in, Sarah felt a smile spreading across her face. What had begun as a rescue mission had blossomed into something far greater, a partnership that could reshape the future of both humanity and the galaxy at large. "Well," Sarah said, her voice filled with warmth and excitement, "I guess we'd better prepare for a long-term guest. Welcome aboard, Axiom. Let's explore the universe together." As the Horizon set a course for Earth, its crew expanded by one extraordinary being. Sarah Chen looked out at the star-filled expanse before them. They had set out to explore strange new worlds, and in doing so, they had not only saved a life, but had opened the door to a grand new chapter in human history. The rescue mission was complete, but their greatest adventure was just beginning.